going directly to music supervisors. So for the most part in this program so far, I've really been discussing the idea of working with publishers and music libraries, working with other people that already have established relationships and contacts with music supervisors. But during this section, I'm going to talk a little bit about bypassing these types of companies and going directly to music supervisors and the pros and cons of doing so. So obviously the upside of working directly with music supervisors is that you're not sharing any of the money you earn on the front and back end with anybody. You're essentially, when you do this, you're functioning as your own publisher. And so if you are able to license your music directly to a supervisor that works on a TV show or a film, you get to keep all of your money, your writer's income and your publishing income. So the downside to trying to go this route is obviously you probably, I'm assuming if you're listening to this, don't know a lot of music supervisors. And it takes time and effort to connect with music supervisors and to find out what projects they're working on and what kind of music they need. So I encourage in general, if you have the time, I would recommend trying to pursue both routes simultaneously. At the end of the day, it really comes down to how much time you have to dedicate to this. And a lot of writers say to me, well, why should I sign with a publisher? I can just be my own publisher. I have my own publishing company set up with ASCAP. It was very easy to do. And it is. In theory, anybody can be a publisher. By default, when you write a song, by default, you are that song's publisher. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy to, quote unquote, publish your material in the sense that you can make connections and connect with people working in the industry. So in general, I would say when I contact supervisors that I don't know, if it's a cold call or a cold email, I get the response rate I get is not nearly as good as if I'm contacting publishers cold. In general, publishers and libraries are more open to taking on music because they're really trying to meet the needs of their catalog as opposed to any specific project at a specific time. But with supervisors, there's a lot of variables involved. And if you contact a music supervisor, depending on what project they're working on at that point, their needs are going to be drastically different from one point to the next, from one day to the next week to the next month. It's constantly changing. So let's say you do R&B and you contact a music supervisor and they're working on a project, but all they need is alt country. Obviously, you're not going to be a good fit, and there's probably not much, in some cases, supervisors will take your music and kind of hold on to it for future reference. That happens from time to time, but usually it's more of a project-to-project thing. So to sum up, I think going directly to supervisors is a great idea if you have the time to do so. But in general, working with publishers and libraries is an easier way to get started just by leveraging the contacts and relationships they already have. But again, if you're taking this seriously, if you want to make a full-time income from licensing your music and you have the time, I would definitely recommend trying to develop relationships with supervisors as well. When you contact them, sometimes they'll get back to you and let you know about projects they're working on, and sometimes they won't. I would say I have, on average, probably about a 10% success rate in terms of contacting a supervisor who then gives me the green light to submit music, whereas with publishers, it's probably as much as 50 or 60%. So again, much easier to get started via music publishing and libraries, but you're going to make more money ultimately in the long run if you do develop relationships with supervisors yourself.